Hello, everyone. So excited, everyone, to have you in this podcast. This is going to be a life changing episode for you. And I strongly believe that there is something in this message that is going to affect your life. It's going to turn your life drastically around. So, my name remains David Oshin, and I'll be your host on this wonderful podcast. Enjoy every session of it. Now, what I'm going to talk about today, we're going to talk about theory principles that you need to have to maintain relationship with people. And when I mean three principles here, I mean three core principles that you should make a philosophy in your life if you want to have a good relationship with people. Now, this cuts across whether the person is your spouse, teammate, or all forms of relationship. So, if you have relationship issues with your staffs, with your teammate, with your spouse, with anyone, these principles helps you to know either to start the relationship in the first place or even how to continue a relationship and how to keep it and maximize the benefits of relationship. Now let me start with this simple word, and it's something I learned from Andrew Mack many years ago. He said, as long as there are people, there will always be issues. So don't be surprised when you see people have issues. It's because it's inborn. There's always this nature that once people are together, there will always be something that will be a bone of contention. There will be something that will be issues. And if you have understanding, if you have maturity, there are so many things you need to know. You are able to avoid those kind of issues. All right. So let's quickly start off with the main point in this podcast. Number one point I want to understand is learn to listen. Learn to listen. Now, one major issue people have in relationship is that they are not listeners. Everybody wants to hear his own point. So when you are talking to someone, maybe you guys are having an argument or a conversation. Let me use the word conversation. Most times people are not inside the conversation. They are not even listening. They're just waiting for the person to end his own point so they can push their own point, and that's where there's always issues. Now, you need to learn to allow people to talk so that you understand what they are saying. You look beyond what they are saying to understand their concept, to understand their mindset, to understand their idea. You understand? So you are trying to understand their motive behind the conversation. So you can't understand that except you are a good listener. So you need to learn how to listen. Most conversations always end up in a bad way because most people involved don't even listen. So as you are talking, you are just pointing on the person, and once you finish, you don't want the person to. Have you heard people say, I don't want to know what you want to say, I don't want to hear from you, this is what I have to say? So people like that will not maintain relationship. So whether it's with your spouse, you can't just have a spouse and you just tell the person, this is what I want, this is, and I'm not going to hear anything from you. You are wrong, you are this, you are that. And people like that will end up having issues in relationship. Okay, that's number one. Number two here is seek to understand first. Anytime there are issues between people, is because of a misunderstanding. So what you need to do is to seek to understand first. Before you condemn a person, always learn to understand the person. So why is the person doing what he's doing? There's always a why to everything. So the first thing before you conclude is, why did the person do this thing? Try to understand. Once you are able to grab a perfect understanding, then you can proceed. So don't jump into conclusion. And don't always allow people to feel like you are not interested in what they're saying. Learn to understand. Once they discover that you are ready to understand, people are ready to pour out their heart. Now I've seen people tell you that people are so deceptive. People are saying people are so deceptive, they are so this, they are so that. You can never understand a person, and that's because they don't listen and they don't seek to understand first. They don't seek to understand first. See, I've had conversations with a lot of people. Thank God I'm privileged to have conversations with so many people. And that's because I love having conversation with people in the first place. And the first thing I understand is, once you give people the opportunity to hear their view, and you actually give them a listening ear, they are ready to pour out their heart. People can talk. But when they don't talk, it's because they know you're not even ready to listen in the first place. So that's number two. Then the last point I'm going to talk about here is give allowance for error. Now, there are no perfect human beings. So even though you are getting married to someone, you're not going to marry a perfect person. So you need to give people the allowance for errors. So that means one thing I do is when I want to when I'm with someone, I try to understand what are the errors this person might probably commit. So can do I have the space for allowance to accept this person's errors? If you are the kind of person that you feel the person you are working with, you can't really, there are some things he or she is doing you can't take, so don't start the relationship in the first place. You need to have this kind of mindset, like what can I allow, what can I accept. So it's more like you are investing. For example, now you need to see the end from the beginning. What's the potential return on this investment? So you need to understand what are the capacity of this person's errors. What can the person do at his highest point? What can the person do at his lowest point? Give allowance for errors, so that once the person misbehaves or does something that you don't like, it's still within the same allowance you have given. So don't believe people are perfect. I've seen people that said, they were very close friends with someone. You ask them, oh, what of this person? You're like, don't mind him, Jerry. This person, because you thought this person was the perfect person. And that's what people used to have issues with when they leave a relationship. They found, oh, this guy is the perfect guy, is not like this guy. When I hear the word is not like this person, that means you already having a comparison and you're already getting it wrong. So you need to understand this. These are basic things, and we're just talking about three today. So join us for the next episode as we talk about more issues. See, these three things can be a very defining thing for you in your life to determine if you're going to have a successful relationship or not. Remember what I said? Listen. 80% of people that I've seen in conversation don't listen. A lady is talking, you are not listening, and you say you don't understand her. Number two, seek to understand first. Let the person understand that your job is first to understand. So when you seek to understand first, the person is ready to pour out the heart. Number three, give allowance for errors. Now with these 3 points of mine, I hope I'm able to convince you and not to confuse you that you can maintain a good relationship. Thank you very much for listening, and goodbye.